Thanks, Chad. Okay, guys, so I've done this presentation a few times. I know I put in the title, interviewing for a DBA job. There's only gonna be a couple of, like I think one slide with one animation. It actually might be the only slide with an animation. So um, I, I know this is a big data thing, but I just want you to know that this is more about interviewing, and then the DBA part is because that's what I was doing for a long time, and I was a manager of DBAs for a long time. So that's where I kind of live, and that's why I'm excited to talk about this. A little bit about me: I worked in ASP.NET when it was 1.1, so 1.5 million years ago, and C#, and then and then I switched to TSQL. Been a DBA for over 12 years. Was a DBA for more than 12 years. I'm now shifting my focus into doing more cloud data processing, using AWS as a kind of the source, the platform for it, with Kafka and Databricks is where we're focusing. So we're starting to work that way. I have my MCP, Microsoft Certified Professional certification, as well as my Microsoft Certified Technology Specialist. Both of those are no longer you're no longer able to get those specializations, but they have them. I have them. I was one test away from getting my MCM, Microsoft Certified Master, but then it expired because SQL 2008 went out of vogue, and so now here I am. So MCP, MCTS. I love SQL Server. But I love data more. So that's where I'm kind of going. I also like to do photography, like Chad said. Here is a picture that I took. It's actually just a small subset of a picture that I took, but this is a picture of from Dead Horse Point, near Moab, Utah. Kind of overlooks this horseshoe bend. It's not Arizona, but it's a great opportunity. And I would love to talk about photography with anybody for any reason, at any time. So that's the stuff that I love. This whole presentation, all the files, everything you see is available on GitHub under SQL Fitness. SQL Fitness is also my Twitter handle. If you want to hit me on Twitter, by all means, hit me there. I used to say that I don't actually look at Twitter. I only used it at pass, and that's why it starts with SQL. I like to go work out and stuff, and so I put that on there because it's one of those things. I was actually listening to a presentation by Jonathan Cahias, SQL Pool Boy, and I'm like, he got stuck with it, so he sort of just picked a handle and just went with it. I did the same thing. LinkedIn is always a good place for you to reach me, but Twitter is great if you want to just have a quick conversation, and it's great. So today, we're at Big Mountain Data. I know it's at the end, kind of getting close to the wrap-up point, but Big Mountain Data is great. It's a free training, free technical conference where you can actually go and learn a ton about different data stuff. This is such a huge opportunity for us as the data people to go to free conferences. The sessions that I've seen are incredible. They're, high level, powerful stuff. We can learn so much stuff, and it's all for free, which is even more incredible, right? Because you go to pass and it's multiple thousands of dollars between travel and everything else. And you go to dev conferences and other things, and they're so expensive. So by all means, if you can, please register and give back. Do what you can. I know it's scary to share and do conference sessions and stuff like that, but by all means, be involved and help to make the community better. You already know this because it's the end of the week, but here's how we get a hold of each other right now. If you post your questions to the Slack channel, Chad will read them to me every couple slides, and then also Slido. I don't have any of that up, so and there's also a bit of a delay. I think it's going from Zoom to Loudswarm, and so there's a bit of a delay. So I'm not going to even try and do the real-time questioning. So just throw those questions up there. The other thing, I beg you, please, if nothing else, please go leave feedback for your sessions. I love feedback because I want to get better at presenting and being able to share some of these topics. I've done a few tech conferences, tech talks, as well as kind of personal development talks like this. And I only get better when I get feedback. And I would prefer that you didn't just go 5-5, perfect. I love that kind of feedback because it helps my ego. But really what I want is that constructive feedback that says, hey, don't talk with your hands so much, or don't, I don't know, wear a hat. I don't know, whatever you want. You can even be like, I think you should shave your beard, which, you know, I like that feedback, but I probably won't do it because it's sort of attached to me at this point. But the other thing is, and I always do this the wrong way, these sessions, this conference is made possible by these sponsors. So when they reach out to you, give them a chance to sell you something, or at least talk to them, so that they know that the money that they invested in this free conference to us, not free to them, right? And that's why they got their picture here, all this stuff. It's really important. It's incredible that they want to give back and be part of this. So that's my spiel for that for right now. Okay, so the agenda. We're all very smart people. IT is an incredible place to work. They pay us to play with computers and hardware all the time. Don't tell people that it's like a game and like a fun thing, but we get to be really smart and do fun things with computers all the time. Only problem is, because we're so good at talking to computers, sometimes we're not great at interviewing. It's clear and simple. We got all worked up and stuff. And so we're going to go through this and try and figure out a way to make it so that it's better for our future companies as well as us to present how smart we are. Now, the agenda is going to cover why we change, where to start, how to prepare. There's a remote work part now because we're all working remotely, I believe, or mostly working remotely. And then I'm going to show you how to do some interviews to get over some of the, you know, some tips and tricks to make it sure that you can get through those jitters. And then some, you know, we'll go through some scenarios when it comes to interviewing. So why change? The first thing you need to know is that everybody eventually in their career wants to change. There's some reason why you want to change. Something happened. Somebody said that I was a jerk and I feel bad and I want to leave, or I don't want to deal with that anymore. Actually, the reason we change is because everything ends badly, or else it wouldn't change, right? Relationships, your relationship with your favorite restaurant, or that car, or this thing. If something changed because it went bad, right? And then, so let's talk about the why. We want to change because someone said something to us, because I don't feel like they like me. Nobody cares. Nobody likes me. I've had enough. I can't do another one of these stupid things again. Those are really hard things to kind of get over personally. But these ones are all personal. It's really a challenge to look back and say, why does nobody like me? Well, we work in data. We work in servers. We want to work as far away from humans as possible. Humans don't really get how smart we are, and so they sort of just like ask you a question, but it's always a dumb question, and it's always when you're in the middle of doing something that you want to do and they ask you to do something that they need you to do, but it's like not the same like thing. And so it's kind of like, gosh, go away, come back in like 2 hours when I'm done with this. That's why you get that kind of vibe from people. These are the kind of things that you have to kind of deal with as a smart data person. But you also need to learn to get past this stuff. If something happened here, if something happened and you're leaving because something happened, you need to ask yourself, did it happen all the time? Does it happen once and it's just the thing that you can't deal with anymore? Or is it something a little bit bigger? If someone did something that I don't want to deal with, that's a challenge. That's a real big challenge, because here's the thing. If somebody is bullying you or being mean to you, you should fix that. That's not okay. The other reason, if you're leaving because someone sexually harassed you, please, please report it. Do not let that person who is in some form of power or next to you in some kind of organization have any kind of control over that. I'm telling you this right now because I can't stand it, and I want to make everyone's life better and everybody else not have to deal with this. If you're leaving because somebody is sexually harassing you, please contact your HR department. If you don't want to deal with your HR department, you can contact me through Twitter, through LinkedIn. I might even show my email address later. You can email me. I will connect you with my HR department, and they are amazing. They will help you however they can. It'll be completely confidential. They will help you get out of that situation. They will help to report that situation. You can blow the whistle on them. It just doesn't matter. But I don't want you to feel like you're failing. And even if you decide not to report it and you want to just leave to make the problem go away, you can do that, but don't think you're running away or you're failing, right? Removing yourself from a bad situation is not a bad reason. It's not about you being a failure because you're leaving a bad situation. It's about you being a healthy, strong human being to go away from that problem, right? So that's what I want to say. Again, if you have any problems, I can connect you with people on my HR. We don't even call our HR department HR anymore. We call them people because we only care about people. But you shouldn't have to deal with this kind of crap in your life. You're smart. You should be able to focus on being smart. You should be able to focus on growing and being a better human and being a stronger data professional and not deal with, ooh, that guy gives me the creeps or that person gives me the creep. It doesn't have to be a guy only. So I just want you to, keep that in mind. Now, these 2 points are kind of a challenge because I have worked at 1-800-Contacts for 19 years. I started in the call center, and then I did help desk, and then I was a web programmer, internal web programmer for 1-800-Contacts.com, and then I moved to database administration, and now I'm doing cloud. So I've been around a long time with the company, and I love 1-800-Contacts. They've helped me a lot. They helped build my professional career. They've let me kind of explore different opportunities in the company, which I don't know if that's really common, but there's a lot of people with a lot of longevity at 1-800-Contacts, and I'm super loyal, and the company has been very good to me. But at a certain point, the company is about making the money for the company and not always about saving the prima donnas. So, just keep that in mind if you think you're too good or too strong or too powerful. I want to make the company better. I want the company to make me better, that kind of stuff. The other reason, the final reason, I put it at the very bottom because this is kind of one of those things where it's there because the reason we go to work is because they give us money to not do what we want, to do what they want, right? But if you're not making enough money, and chances are you're not making enough money because we're in IT and data is huge right now, and we need lots and lots of this to make the world go round. And I'm going to really badly write this. Data is equal to money, and money is equal to data. We're smart people. If you go to your boss and say, I need more money, they're going to say, oh, how come? And they're, because company wants to make money for the company. But, and most of the time, they're going to give you more money. It just works that way. But it's a challenge too, because it's a difficult conversation. But if you go get another job because of money, that is a totally legitimate reason, right? So have at it. Okay, where do you start? Your resume. I'm going to show you my resume here, and this is the resume that I keep. I'm going to show you my resume. It's right here. This is, you can still see my screen, right? Yes. Okay. This is my resume from 2017. I don't know if you can see this up here, but I name all my resumes, my name, and then the date. My resume is not to the point. It is not single, it's single page, but it has wrong information on it, right? I took my address and phone number and my email off right here. I have more than 8 years, which is true, but it's more like 12 years. And I'm no longer a double threat, and now I'm a triple threat because I have some cloud experience. So if you look at this resume, it's very great, tells people what I've done in the past, gives the experience here. Why is SQL Server 2005 and Microsoft Access on there? I don't do a lot with those. I wouldn't even know really where to install them from. I probably would cut it off at 2014, and I would add like 2019 on there. These two things are great. Maybe this one, HTML, is that really necessary anymore? Ajax, XML, JavaScript, this is all superfluous information. And these are also no longer needed. I don't have all my certifications on here. I have some certifications that I got when I was going to school. Those don't need to be on there, right? I'm not going to be a web programmer anymore. Not for a while anyways. I haven't done it for a long time. Here's 2007 to present, it's a big chunk of time. Here's another software engineer. Here's a help desk, right? So from 2001 till present, that's a long time, but that's not true anymore. Also, my school, I didn't finish the school. I stopped in 2013. Why does it say present? Because I didn't update this in 2017 with the current information, right? I have my Salt Lake Community College degree, but my bachelor's degree, it's switched. So that's not up to date. When you apply for a job, please update your resume before you post it. Sending your resume that is not the right resume is kind of like the worst thing you can do. Not the worst thing, it's not the worst thing, but it is one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm supposed to be detail oriented, but I forgot this one thing. My first impression that I'm leaving on you is that I messed up on one thing. Here, take this, please, make this better. This is the thing I want you to look at. So just look it over. Take 30 minutes and review it. I don't know if you noticed, but LinkedIn now has a resume assistant. Do you guys remember Clippy, the little thing that would pop up and it'd be like, hey, you're making a resume, let me help you. Well, now you can have the professionals at LinkedIn build your resume for you, right? So don't just shut this and go because you're smarter than the world. Take the time and do it, right? Okay, so cover letters. Cover letters are very important because your resume needs to be concise and to the point with the minimal amount of information to prove that you know what you're doing. Let me say that one more time. Your resume should be concise and to the point with a minimal amount of information to prove that you know what you're doing. You don't need to be wordy. You don't need to put in 10 lines that say, I created an always-on cluster between 3 different physical machines in 2 different data centers, and I was able to achieve maximum uptime. Just say always on. They'll ask more questions. If they don't know what it is, they'll ask more questions. If they do know what it is, then great, but make it very simple, right? Make it easy for them to look at and go, yeah, I like all this stuff. Let's get them in for an interview. If it's too wordy and you have to read it, if it's more than a page, 2 pages, you're probably trying to blow smoke somewhere. And most companies don't like that. They want to get to the point. Think about how many times, how many people have submitted their resume. Let's say for each job posting, you get 30 resumes, right? If you can get through that resume in 30 seconds and looks like it's somebody that you're interested in, you just won because you use a simple, concise one. Your cover letter needs to match the job posting. When you look at a job posting, this is a current job posting that 1-800-CONTACTS has. Look at this, right? You want to be part of the team that will raise the data IQ of the entire company. That's fantastic. You want to be part of the team that loves data as much as you do. We're starting to see a little bit of playfulness in here. When you see the playfulness in your cover letter, be playful. Your resume is simple and concise. The cover letter is when you start to shine. I love data. I was able to do this. Look at this great thing that I did, and kind of like build up yourself, because they're going to look. As a technical person, I want the resume. As an HR person, they want the cover letter, right? So you think about those 2 kind of positions. As you go through, when you do this, requirements, when you come down here and you look at what you need, which is where I usually scan first to, like, do I meet the requirements? I no longer care what that says. Let me back up. I do care what it says. I just don't care if I meet all the requirements, because if you look at this, you're like, okay, bachelor's degree or in computer science, don't have it, don't need it. Or I do need it. I have 12 years of experience as a SQL Server DBA. That covers that equivalent, right? 7+ years working, experience working in data warehouse environment, done. That's done. That covers it, right? 12 years as a DBA, I've worked in every data environment. Experience working with data related cloud technology. I have some experience. I haven't done a lot of production stuff. It's the experience working Python, SSIS, SQL data transformation, data modeling experience. Here's why I look at this as kind of a guideline. You can kind of see where the company wants this position to go. They want them to be a cloud data person. They want to have experience in the cloud. They want to know what data warehousing techniques are. That kind of stuff you need to look at. I think you should apply if you like the company and you're a data person, even if you don't have 7 years of experience, even if you don't have a bachelor's degree, even if you've never heard of Kafka or Databricks, if you're interested in working for a company, you should apply. Most likely, they are not getting local qualified candidates. I've interviewed people that have 20 years of experience that couldn't put together a TSQL query. Or I talked to people that built queries so poorly that they could not even be a senior, but they had the experience, it was on their resume, right? What you need to do is you need to apply for the company that you like, and you need to figure out how you can be part of that company. And if they don't have a position for you, I guarantee they'll keep your resume and find it when they need it. Because here's how it goes. I have, let's say 100 Contacts has 6 data positions open, ranging from intern all the way up to senior. If you apply and you're kind of more in the junior or intermediate range, they can put you in that position. Right? They're not going to list 36 different positions. That gets a little bit kooky, right? So you apply and they'll find a position for you. I talked to our head recruiter and he's like, dude, I just need names. If you give me a name of a person who's interested, I will go and look them up on LinkedIn, or I will go look them up on Facebook and see how interested they are in working at 100 Contacts. I'll have the conversations. You do not need to be involved. And I'm like, done, easy. I don't want to deal with people. I want to deal with data. You guys go work on your own thing and I'll work on my thing. It'll be great. Right? But you guys, if I don't know you, I can't give you that introduction to my recruiter or to another recruiter. You need to make that introduction yourself. Build a cover letter, build your resume concise and to the point, put it in there, right? You're going to love that. You guys know how to look through job boards, right? So you go to the company, go to 100 Contacts, or we're going to use 100 Contacts, scroll all the way down to this footer place, right? Like, this is the company, this is the company, this is the company. Usually there's like a careers right here. You click on careers, they give you the boilerplate of, hey, notice that it says view openings. As you scroll down, they'll start talking about their values, the benefits, the testimonials, pictures of the company, buildings, really cool diagrams to make you feel like we're technical. Right? Values. These are the values of the company. When you start interviewing for a company, make sure you meet up to those values, or that you want to live up to that value. 19 years, I love these values, right? Because this is what I live by. This is how I work, right? And the company wants me to be better, so they help me by providing values. Not a lot. Like there's 4 paragraphs. 4 tiny paragraphs, 4 really sentences that kind of sets it up. And then it starts talking about the benefits, kind of some testimonials, they'll show that, and then we're back into here, right? So when we go back into the job board, when you start looking at openings, look at what they have, how many they have offerings. Let's say you want to work in IT. Oh, look, we have a Charlotte, North Carolina department or office. What's that about? Maybe make a note about that. So when you talk to someone like, hey, I noticed you have a place in Charlotte. Is that IT or is that something else? Is that data? What's that, right? Talk to them. You're like, oh, I live in Salt Lake City. I don't want to do either of those things. So maybe Draper. Look at that. Now we're starting to see the IT stuff. Data engineer, this is the one we went through. So that's how you get through the job board. Okay, now you need to start thinking about how upfront you want to be and when you want to be upfront with your current gig. Data does not make you a strong-willed person who can go up and just talk to anybody randomly about anything, right? So when you're like, oh, I'm applying for a job, don't tell my boss. Beginning of the year, my company enrolled me in some management training. And in that training, they said, so if someone comes to you and says they want a new job, you should help them with that request. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want to train people to be better DBAs, and data people, I don't want to train them for other people. And they said, that's not our focus. Our focus is to have the best people in the world. We want the best team. We want the best people here. We want the best team. We want you to make them better for your expertise, and we'll have that person make them better for their expertise. And we'll have that person make them better for their expertise. We're going to have the greatest team of all time. And if they decide to leave, that's on them. We should not stand in the way. If we can, let's try and keep them. Let's make them happy. What can we do? programmer, web programmer, database administrator, cloud. I've had a chance to move through different departments, different areas of focus. Most companies, I don't know if most companies do that. I've worked here for 19 years. That seems like forever for most IT jobs, but it's so incredibly infectious to know that your company wants the best for you, that your company wants you to be the best you can be and to help the people around you be the best that they can be, regardless of if they stay here, right? How many of you have been sent to PASS or to conferences along that lines? That is a huge expense that the company pays for you. Travel, hotel, the conference itself, food, all that stuff gets paid for by the company because they want to invest in you as a person. They want your intelligence to be better and stronger and more up to date, so they pay for this kind of stuff. You should be current. You should give them the benefit of the doubt. I know in the past when I've interviewed at other places, I went to my boss, said, I'm talking to these guys. And he goes, oh yeah, well, is there anything I can do to help? Do you want to put me down as a reference? And I was a little shocked the first time I did it because I was super nervous. And I'm like, oh no, he's going to blow up. He's going to think I'm a quitter or a failure, or I just hate the company. But he didn't, my manager at the time was a he said, I don't care about that. I want you to do me one thing though. That is, if when you get an offer, because you're smart and I know you'll get an offer, come to me. If you want to stay here, come to me and I will help you stay here. And they did. Twice, right? And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's one of those things that you just have to kind of get over and just do it. Trust your manager. If your manager comes back and says, well, you're looking for somewhere else, I'm going to save you the time. Why don't you just get out of here? Like, that was not my intention. But if that's the way you feel about me, then I can go get a job somewhere else. There's zero unemployment for data right now. I'm going to say that one more time. And so if there's any recruiters listening, you can go to Slido or Slack and put your information in there. There's zero unemployment for data right now. People need data people. There's not enough data people to go around. That's the way it is. So first of all, you don't need to be in a bad situation. Second of all, if you are in a bad situation, you can get better. And if you need to, do it. Now, new technology, it's a challenge, man. Going from SQL Server that I know and love for 12 years to Python, really tough. You should be programming all of your stuff anyways. You should be using PowerShell to automate all your technology. You should be using any tools that you can so that you can automate your random, or you're not random, but your daily task. All your stuff should go through reports. You should have everything being read out of the catalog and sending it to you, because there is so much to do and so little time to do it. You don't want to be spending half your time going through and just checking SQL jobs or checking permissions. Automate that stuff, get it in a report and send it to you when it fails. Trust me, your life will be better. And when you switch from on-prem SQL Server to on-cloud Kafka instance, you should know how to automate that kind of stuff too, because I guarantee you don't want to be checking that all the time. So automation, technology, moving things forward, that's what you need. That's what you want. Okay, last thing, data people aren't great about checking their code into a Git repository. You should be using Git on the daily. Git is an opportunity for you to save your files locally and then push them up to a server so everybody on your team has access to them. It gives you revisions. It gives you a safe place to put them so that if something happened to your computer, you can go and just pull it down. I put this whole project in GitHub. It's open, it's free. You go and create an account, you say clone, it gives you a command and it pulls it down to your computer, and you can have it on your computer. You can delete it off your computer and you can clone it again and pull it again and pull it again. It is an amazing technology. It's a little bit of a hurdle to learn, but you should learn it. You should know how to do it. You should be sharing your code. You should be getting out there and having that all be there. Okay, are there any questions?
We don't have any questions yet. Nicole did post though that she really liked your photo that you put up. So that was a few minutes ago.
Fantastic.
But you got compliments on that. No other questions so far.
Okay. Okay, so we'll keep going then. So we need to prepare. Like I said, you need to go find out about the company. Go through their website, check about their values. Type into Google the company's name, or Bing. I don't know if you're a Binger, you're one of the 13% that use it. I don't know if that's even a real statistic, but put in the company and then just space and the word review, and it will pull up all a bunch of different reviews, and you can read them. Some of them have current employees, some of them have past employees, some of them are mean, some of them are nice. You should go find out about the company, because if you look at the company history and they're offering you a ton of money to come over, and they're like, well, the person who's in charge of it has no idea what he's doing and they're just getting ready to sell the company. Is that something you want to do? Because you probably are going to work in a very volatile environment, right? Just check out about the company, look for reviews, check for the culture on their website. What do they say they do? And then look at the reviews to see if what they say they do is also what's on their on the reviews, right? Find out about their perks. When you go through an interview and someone says, do you have any questions? Just say, gosh, I don't know about that right now. I don't really have any questions right now. That means you're not really invested, right? That's how it feels to me as an interview. If I say, what kind of questions do you have for me right now? And they're like, tell me about the gym, on-site fitness. Tell me about your cafeteria or your restaurant. Tell me about this, tell me about that. It gives a chance for the interviewer to brag about the company. Also makes the interviewer feel like you as the interviewee really is interested in the company. So you went and asked about it and you went and checked to see if everything was working, and it works. So it is a great kind of, it's a little tool. So that's tip number one, ask about the perks to every single person. You can ask about the same perk to every different person too, right? Because usually they're not sharing the details that way. Maybe they are, but if you're interested in the on-site kitchen, which I fully recommend and 100% endorse, I don't know if you saw that, but sometimes they change the menu every week, and once a week once in a while they'll have bacon wrapped filet mignon, and it's $3, less than $3. So look at me bragging about the perk to no one even asked me about it, and I'm telling you about it, right? We have free soft drinks, free cereal, free bread, amazing salad bar that's constantly changing, where you can go and try new stuff. Our chef that prepares our stuff has opened up the world of culinary experiences. I've had frog wa, I've had frog legs, I've had all kinds of crazy things. And it's amazing because it's always less than $3. Company subsidizes that, right? It's incredible. The other thing is you need to go and find out who the people you are going to potentially interview with. It's a really great thing. You go onto LinkedIn, find the company, and then start cruising through. Vice President Customer Compliance, Digital Email Manager, Senior Business Analyst, right? Executive Assistant. Everybody's on LinkedIn. It's this amazing place where you can go and start talking to people about it, right? Software engineer, creative director. These are the kind of people you should look at, right? Software engineer, product manager, associate creative director, social media person, product manager. Like, I know that this seems like a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of different people. When you go to the company itself, I'm gonna just grab this person. When you go look at the company itself, it tells you all of your contacts that are working here. If you have a question about the company and you're related, you have a 1 or 2 relationship to somebody here, you should go and hit them up and say, hey, how's this company? You should. It's part of the research. And then you should also check to see if you were going to work in data. Maybe you should find out who the CIO is. Go and check out that person's career path. Go see what they've done. So if you talk to him and say, hey, I noticed you worked at a place called Luxottica. That's interesting. What does Luxottica do? Let them talk about their situation, right? Share in that. Become sort of stalkery. I mean, don't go like Instagram or TikTok stalk people, but just go figure out what they do for a career. Because if you're prepared and you say, hey, I noticed you worked at 1-800-CONTACTS when my brother worked there. Even Chad and I had a little conversation about that when we were first setting up this meeting. His uncle works here, and it's really interesting because I would never put Chad Crawford and this person together. It's just amazing, right? And so we went on LinkedIn. I looked him up. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who he is. The name sounds familiar. I work from home. I've only been in the office probably 7 times in the last 4 months. Like, I don't interact with people unless we're in meetings. So if we're not in meetings, I don't really know who they are anymore. Do you know what I mean? So try and find out who the people are you're working for. Now, that being said, you do your prep work. It's 2020. Welcome to 2020. I believe Mayhem is the person of the year. We have adapted to this, and you need to be adapting to that as well. We need to do remote work. You need to figure out how to do meetings online. You need to learn how to figure out how to do interviews online. You need to be prepared to be on video. Not all the time, but in your interviews, you should be prepared as if you were going to be at that business, right? Show up early, sit in the lobby, the waiting room, whatever it is at the application that you're using, Zoom, Teams, Chime, if you're one group of people, all sorts of video conferencing. You need to turn on your video without being asked, right? Like, I want to share stuff. Make sure the client's installed, make sure that you know how to turn it on, how to share your video. You notice up here, there's a share video up here, this kind of stuff. You should know how to do this. If you need to show your resume, have that loaded on your computer or your iPad or whatever you're using, your phone, so you can share that. Don't be shy. This is the new world. This is a new world. If your kids are running around and they're making noise, you don't need to apologize for them. You can say, I guess you can apologize, but just be like, oh, my son's here or my daughter's here or whatever, and they're just being a little noisy. One of the greatest things is to go watch the newscast when everyone went home and the newscasters were trying to present and their animals wouldn't behave, or their kids wouldn't. I'm not calling kids animals, but their animals or their kids or their family just wouldn't behave. They're trying to do this professional thing. Everyone's doing it, man. I came into the office to present today because my family is off for fall break and they are noisy people. I'm not kidding. Like, they're screaming at their video games and they're TikTok dancing and all this other stuff. It's crazy. And so if you can get to a place where it's a little bit more isolated or quiet, if you can't, that's your life, man. That's how it's going to be. Just own it. But the big thing to remember, don't be shy. Be prepared to share your video, be prepared to show who you are, and be prepared to be prepared and adaptable. So, any questions so far? Any more questions?
Yes, we do. We actually have one question. By the way, my uncle and I do have some things in common. So you get us together in a room and you might start to tell, oh, I think they are related. Nicole asked this question. She said, for greener folks looking to get their first DBA gig, would you recommend going through a recruiter? Or what are some good key things to look for if searching on your own?
That's a great question. So junior DBAs, I would actually recommend you apply for not junior DBA positions, even if you're intimidated for it. If you want to be a DBA, you should apply for any DBA job that you find open. Because it's like this, I needed people here. We had an amazing, super talented DBA that left. When she left, it was like a huge gap in our technology stack, right? We were all focusing on different things. And it's difficult because then it all comes back to the 2 or 3 people hopefully left that you have to cover for. And so we interviewed, and we sort of started interviewing a lot, and we were looking for the senior person to replace her, and we couldn't find the person. So then we had to look at intermediate, and we ended up hiring a junior DBA and training them up. And now we have another amazing junior, not a junior DBA anymore, right? Because we have the opportunity to kind of train up the person. But if you're interested in data or you're aware of that, put that on your resume or on your cover letter. Hey, I don't have a lot of DBA experience, but I'm really willing to learn and I want to talk about it. Because that will give you the foot in the door. Even if it doesn't happen this round, right? Like we had one person come in, she still works for one of her contacts. She's incredible. When she came in and interviewed the first time, she was right out of school, and it was between her and another DBA who had a lot more experience, and we needed that experience. So we brought him in instead of her. And I know I should use their names, but I'm not going to. When when he decided he needed to go about a couple years later, we called her and said, hey, you interviewed here. Are you interested in interviewing again? Right? And she'd gone off, she'd got another job, she had a little bit more experience. She came in and it was an amazing fit, right? We have an amazing team, but just because you might not get the gig right now, or you might not get it right away or get the company you want, put your feelers out there. If you have an idea of where you want to work, put your feelers out there. Look for any job. If you want to be a junior DBA, apply for the data engineering job and say, hey, I know that this is a data engineering job, but I'm more interested in DBA, and they might pass on you, but at least get a try. The other thing is, when you interview, sometimes people will respond to the interview better than other times, and they might try and find a position for you even if they don't have one. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, Pat Wright also replied. He said, junior DBAs that are trained up rock. Good idea. Always train the future. He also said, it was me. Steve decided not to hire me. He should have, though. And a comment from Chad Crawford. Since I'm not typing, I can just interject it here. I've seen the same thing. There are times when we can move a position up or down if we find the right candidate or can't find the right candidate. There are other times where we can't, but it's always worth trying. If you don't fit, if we can't move it and you don't fit, then you won't get a call, but there's no harm in trying.
Right. I mean, the worst thing that they can say is no, right? Or nothing or no.
Okay, we've exhausted the questions for this set.
Okay, thanks, Chad. And thanks for Nicole and Pat for posting the questions. Okay, so we're gonna talk about basic phone screens or your first interview. Not all companies are remote. I know that kind of is weird and sort of seems weird at this time. For me, I've been at home, the company's gone home, there's nobody in the building, there's a couple people in the building, but really weird. So you're probably gonna be on a phone screen. Your phone screen is probably gonna be with a human resource person trying to screen you out, right? So you need to be prepared to answer basic questions. What's your 5-year plan? When was some time you failed, and what did you learn from your mistakes? These are huge questions, right? And so you should be prepared for that. This is something that everybody asks every single time because they don't want to see your bright, shiny career. They want to see the time you failed and how you learned from that, right? How much money do you want? How much money is it going to cost for us to bring you in? Can we contact your references? This one's a tricky one, right? Because typically you submit your resume without telling anyone that you're applying. But I don't know if you remember back in like 4 slides ago, when do you tell your company the gig? I would never tell my work I'm applying for a job. But once I do the phone screen, I would say, you know what, I need to have a conversation with my manager. I want you to call my manager. Here's his name and here's his phone number. Give me 2 days to talk to him, and then please contact him. They're not always worried about contacting. They want to know if they can contact your references, right? And more than likely, your references are going to give you a glowing review. Why wouldn't they? They love you. They're also going to ask you questions that make you think. So if someone says to you, what's your favorite joke? You should be ready to tell a joke, right? Because that's going to give you kind of an insight into the company. If they say, what is your favorite place to go on vacation? Those kind of things. Those are questions that are kind of trying to get you out of, hey, I'm interviewing for a data job. You're just going to ask me questions about SQL stuff. No, we want to find out how you're going to fit into the corporation, into our team, into our group, into our system, right? They're going to ask you about availability. They're going to ask you about your 2 weeks notice or loose ends you need to figure out. I have worked on some really massive projects. And if I was to apply and it happened that I was going to switch companies and they're like, hey, when are you available? Probably not for about 4 or 5 weeks. We need to finish up this project. At least 2 weeks. I need to go talk to them and see what they need from me so that I can transition away from this project. They want you to come and work for them, but they also don't want you to leave your other company in a lurch because they don't want you to leave them in a lurch eventually, if that makes sense, right? And why are you motivated to leave? I want to try this new opportunity. I want to become this. I want to do that. I want more money. Be upfront with them. I want you guys to give me more money. How much money do you want versus how much money can you earn? These are valid reasons. And you're not going to shock someone unless you're like, you know what, I'm a $700,000 a year person. Maybe you should, you know, take that with a grain of salt if they pass on you, right? I believe you're worth it, but the company needs to provide a value. You kind of know what your company what the company can provide, but you should also know what your value is, and you should ask for what your value is for here, and you should talk to them about it. But don't sacrifice your value for something unless you're willing to grow from that place. And this is kind of a tangent. I wasn't going to talk about this, but when you, because I started, I'm going to finish talking about it. But when you start talking to somebody about salary, you should talk to them directly about salary and say, this is what I want. This is what I need to leave. And this is how come I'm valuable, right? They're going to love that you tell them that instead of humming and hawing, because nobody wants to guess what your value is. Plus, if you're way out of the league, say, is that too much? I'm willing to go down to this point, but I have to have this much to continue to where I'm at. If that makes sense. So that's the basic phone screen. Remember, it's going to be probably not with a technical person. It's probably a person from HR, but just keep that in mind. Your technical follow-up. This is where kind of the rubber meets the road, because you're going to be interviewing probably people from your team, your future team, and you guys, please calm down. Remember, you're smart. You already made it through the first interview. Let your technology inspired brain run the meeting. Don't get all jittery thinking, oh no, what if they hate me? What if they don't like me? Literally, you only get to see this much of a person anymore, right? So just sit down, think about the questions, take time to work through it. You need to plan on getting to the interview early so that you're prompt. You never want to be late. Make sure you're, like I said, that the tools are installed, that you know how to use them, you can connect, and then wait in the lobby and just wait there. If someone comes on and say, hi, how you doing? My name's Steve, I'm interviewing for this job, right? If you normally have caffeine, drink the normal amount. Please don't go and just hit 2 rock stars and power through them so that you're like, look at me, I'm so fire. That is going to make you look all jittery and crazy. Calm down. Let's go through it. I was going to show some questions, but I'm going to go through a little bit of the DBA stuff. You should be able to answer questions. The first question I always ask, and this is totally an insider, anybody here gets to see this. The first question I ask is, what's the difference between a primary key and a unique index, right? One of them is null, one of them is not. If you answer it that way, then I know that you already know about that kind of stuff. I can ask you different questions. If you don't know that, then I need to ask you other questions like, what's the difference between a right join and a left join? Because I, as a technical person, need to find out where you fit on the scale, whether you're higher than what I expect or lower than what I expect, because I can move down to that level. We can bring you in at a lower level or a higher level, but I need to know where you sit on that. You should, in the GitHub repo, oh no, sorry. There's a document called SQL Server Interview Questions, 2017. It literally is questions about SQL Server. What is normalization? Explain what the normalization is. What is denormalization? How do you implement a one-on-one? You should know this stuff because you're applying for a DBA job, right? And I took the answers out of some of them because I shared this with some people and I want you to kind of do some of the research. Question, answer, right? These are stuff that you should know because it's out there. I downloaded this from somebody in 2015 and have been modifying it ever since. You should constantly be figuring out these kind of things. And then you need to figure out how to answer the questions. But it's basic information. Basic information. You should understand what's SSIS, SQL Server integration systems? What's SRS? What's Power BI? How do I get data from here? How do I do this? How do I do this? Tell me a time when you were, they needed this information and then it stopped working. Those kind of things, those are the kind of questions they're going to ask you. Remember, stay calm. You're smart. If you don't know something, say, I don't know something. I would much rather you tell me you didn't know, or say, I don't know that right now. Do you mind if I look that up? I don't need you to memorize those questions. I don't need you to memorize how to, the syntax for creating an index. I need to know that you know how to find the information. Yeah, by all means, go look at Google and tell me what you think. Show that you can Google something. Ask if, when we interview people in person, we're sitting at my laptop. I have SQL Redgate prompt running. I've had people close the prompt out and not know how to run a query. Like, I want you to know how to do the job. I'm not trying to trick you. I've had in interviews, I've had one person ask if they could Google something. And this was pretty sad, but it is awesome because they Googled it. They found the answer. And the answer was like one page, one line at the bottom, and they didn't quite read to the bottom of that, and they didn't answer it correctly. So yes, they had Google. Great, do it. They also sometimes make up things to try and sound like they're smart. I would rather you say, I don't know, I'll get back to you. Or, I don't know, can you help me? Absolutely, we're in a team. I'll tell you everything you need to know. I'm not more superior than you. If you have a question, ask me. Ask the interviewer, what do you think? Well, I would use a CTE. Oh, CTE, common table expression. So that's like this kind of syntax, kind of go through that, right? So that's something, don't BS your way through the interview, because I see it a mile away. My boss sees it a mile away. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it's BS. So just go through it. Just like live it. Questions?
We are question free.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, not fantastic. If you have questions, by all means ask them, but
it is fantastic. It means that you have been so completely clear and eloquent that all the questions have been answered as part of the presentation.
Thank you very much. That makes me feel happy. Okay, so let's talk about demonstrated skills. Let's see those TSQL skills with the demo. We're actually not going to see the demo. This is a basic. I'm not going to try and move that. This is a basic diagram. It tells you what this is. You should know what this symbol is, how they relate, you know, one to many, and where the foreign keys are, what this kind of dotted line means, because someone's going to sit down and say, tell me what this document looks like. What would you change? I would look at this and I would go, oh, I like capital D's. But it doesn't matter if I like it or not. I want it to be consistent, right? So I would change one or the other depending on whatever standard we agreed on. I also don't understand why there's 4,000 characters here and it's nullable. Is that something we could extract? I don't know. Also, why is there no ID in here? And is this supposed to be an ID because everyone else has an ID, number in series, like that kind of stuff, right? Just know what you're looking at. They're going to present something to you from what their company values are, right? So just know, kind of be able to adapt to that. So wrapping up, we figured out why we wanted to change, where to start. We prepared, we looked at the company, kind of stalked the company online. We're prepared for remote work, and then we've gone through our skills. Any questions?
I can't hit the unmute. There we go. No, we're still good on questions.
Okay, well, we're about 4 or 5 minutes early. One of the things that I would love for you to do is to, while you have these couple extra minutes, I would love to have you give me feedback. This is the feedback page. You're watching it. I will bring up the loud swarm right over here. This is where you do feedback. Click on feedback, click here. Friday, I don't know if you noticed, but we went to Google Docs, which means it's going to be shared to the presenters here. You go to Friday, choose a speaker. We're in room 4, interviewing for a job. Literally, these are the questions. 1, 2 comments, submit. It's so easy. So again, here's where all my stuff is. So yeah, go do the feedback. I need it. Everybody needs it to make the system, the conference is better. With it being remote, it's weird because I don't get to see your face, and that makes it strange for me because then I don't actually have any reaction. I hope there are people here. I know at least Nicole and Pat and Chad are here, but I hope that people are here and they enjoyed the conference. Unfortunately, I have no way of knowing if you enjoyed the conference unless you give me back some feedback. And I think the same with all of the presenters. And we have a couple minutes, so please go do that. There's a lot more to the sessions in the conference than just the sessions. There's like the hallway and the after hours stuff where you get a chance to mingle. One of the greatest things that I ever had at PASS was a chance to talk to people and go and have dinner with them. Hopefully Gomez is on here. He's a guy that I hooked up with or met last time I was at PASS. We went and did stuff every night. We had dinner. We rented electric bikes in Seattle and cruised around, just kind of build friendships, right? And it's hard to do that on a computer screen. But I don't know if you've seen this, but we have all the rooms. We have room 6 that's open. We have face-to-face. We have Slack. Slack is going to continue to go there. So if you have questions for me, you can hit me up on Slack. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. But this is how these conferences kind of evolve and get better and better, is that personal connection. So, and if you're interested in going through kind of an interview practice, I'm happy to do that for a few people, couple people, maybe half hour. We can go through it. You can dust off your interview skills and we can talk on it one-on-one. We'll just open a Zoom call and just go through it. So those are the kind of things that the conference and the sessions make great for. So, so that's my time. I appreciate you guys coming, and I appreciate all the people, Pat and everybody from Big Mountain Data, for setting this up. There was a crazy amount of work yesterday. I'm sort of glad that I'm the second day because you guys worked out a lot of the bugs, but I appreciate everything you guys have done, and thank you so much for coming.
And thank you, Steve, for your support of the community, your preparation for today, and sharing your knowledge and your experience. I think we've all got a better handle on how to set up our resume, look for a job, and to be successful in our interviews. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks, Chad.